You're listening to Embrace Your Snake, the #1 podcast for creatives and entrepreneurs that have big ideas and need just a little bit of help to get them out into the world. I'm your host, Michael Jackson, and today we're talking with a world-class pianist, keyboardist, music producer, songwriter, and entrepreneur. She's written and recorded more than 100 songs and has played all over the world, including various venues in France and Austria. She's the winner of the Pro Mozart Society Scholarship in Atlanta, Georgia, as well as the Drzewski competition. She currently resides in Los Angeles, California, in her self-designed, custom remodeled by herself Airstream. It's a recording studio. Please welcome to the show, Kristin Center.
Thanks so much. That was such a good introduction. I really appreciate it. It was nice.
Well, it's all true. That's why I like it so much.
That's great. It's interesting when someone else says it, you feel like, okay, cool. All right. Awesome.
That's right. Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
So I love the scenery there. You're looking like you're in the happy, sunny California.
I am. It's chilly because we just had our first rain in a while, but other than that, it's sunny again.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to getting back there soon.
Yeah.
So let's talk today. We're going to talk with our audience today about some of your experience that you've learned in California and about specifically, I think if people don't know, you moved out to California and basically you started from scratch to build your career. And you've gone through all kinds of things to get from, that neophyte Californian to the experienced person that you are now. So I think what we're going to try and do is talk about how people who may want to come out to Hollywood can build up their career and what things they ought to expect and not expect when they get.
I have. I'm already like at the edge of my seat waiting. Yeah. Okay. I did. I came out here and didn't know anybody. Didn't have any family or relatives out here. I definitely was sold, and I'll explain what I mean by sold. The idea that you have to be in a certain place. I was, let's say, about like 60% sold, that you had to be in a certain place in order to accomplish a certain thing, right? So Los Angeles was the place to, if you wanted to become an actor, eventually you ended up here, right? If you wanted to become a comedian, sometimes that was the place. If you wanted to become a musician, it was a little iffy. It wasn't as clear as like actor movie business, but pretty much was like Los Angeles was the place you were kind of supposed to come. And so I kind of knew it wasn't totally true that you had to be in Los Angeles, but I was like, young and like, yeah, why not? Like, I think 23 or something. So you're like, yeah, let's do it. Old enough to not get, totally screwed, but just not old enough to possibly still have a super open mind. And when you get here, it's like this weird artistic, slow breaking down of the truth, which is that Hollywood is sort of this like very most people would say depressing, pee-stained place that like smells terrible. You have a homeless guy throwing up on top of a Hollywood star that says Elton John or something. It's like, it's not all it's cracked up to be. In fact, it's one of those places that's still riding on its laurels, still resting on what it was decades ago, maybe, I don't know, maybe one or one and a half, at least for, I think, artists. So I would say that it was a big wake-up call for me as someone who is really receptive to my environment. When an environment looked like it was dying and dead, it was really like uninspiring from that artistic standpoint. Now, there's still many opportunities here. I won't put those down.
How long did it take before you realized that Hollywood was kind of just the TV version of Hollywood instead of what you actually found when you got to LA?
Oh, I'm still realizing it. I'm still slowly unfolding it. It's hard. It really does. Because when you're a kid and you think that's when you're building your foundation of what you think of stuff, and then you see those movies, it's really inside of my younger self that I have to keep fighting what it is. And I go like, no, Kristin, this is what's really going on. I've had these scenes in my mind where I'm like, you have to wake up because this is not exactly what is always what you thought when you were a kid.
Right. And how do you find it? You're in the music business in LA.
Yeah.
And how does that compare with being in, say, acting or one of the acting industry, producer, director,
right,
cast member, that kind of thing?
I think one of the best ways to put it is that everyone is looking for help or a leg up. Even the person who's already written the album that you were like, oh my God, I listened to that for like, 10 years in a row, you wrote all those songs. Like that guy, most likely guy, is actually looking to you for something as well. So when you come here thinking someone's going to grab your hand and lead you to the promised land, no one's looking to do favors. And everybody kind of wants to have this like tit for tat, which is normal. But yeah, I think as a musician, there's also, we've broken down the types of musicians, right? So if I were a session musician, I was really interested in jamming with other people. That's a different world. If I come here as a solo artist with a solo artist mission, with my own content, and I'm looking to kind of sell that, it's a hard push. And one of the things you and I talked about a long time ago is that you realize you're competing with other businesses. And everyone is sort of this own little business identity. It's like an artist songwriter business over here. And then there's like a, restaurant business, and you're just part of these chunks of businesses.
Explain that, because a lot of people, I really do believe, and this is one of the reasons for the podcast, I really do believe that artists in general forget that they have to be business people. And it is not apparent to most artists that to make it, whatever that means, as an artist, you've got to be a business person almost first, or you've got to find someone who is a business person. And that is kind of the knife thing that everyone doesn't understand that is an artist. So how did that work for you? You've built your own business and it's gotten to be successful.
Yeah, but I mean, now that we get the Michael Jackson behind the scenes interview, I mean, it is really, really hard. And I empathize with any artist who is having trouble with this, because this business brain, like that logic side, is just not the side that I access when I'm writing music. So it's really difficult when you spend this whole year, like, it's almost the more, and I've talked to many people in the industry about this, the more talented you are, right? You're talented because you practice and you work on it. The more talented you are, almost, it's like you have a percentage. And if you build up the talent, it's just taking, it sounds a little sad and like cynical, but it takes away from the business side, and you build a business and it almost takes away from the artist side, because you really have to pick and choose. Or I'm refusing to kind of believe this thing that I just said. So I'm trying to do things where I say like, okay, I'm going to take Wednesdays and Thursdays to be a business person. And I'm not going to like access my artist brain, which I can't turn it off, but I just get like inspiration on those days. But I kind of turn into a little bit of a corporate robot. And then the other days I try to allow myself to, but it's really hard because I get really frustrated if on days someone asks something of me that's really great for the business, but it's not a Wednesday and Thursday, but I have to do it on a Monday. I'm like, what? I was just getting into artist mode. Like,
oh my gosh.
I started to write something and some email or text comes in, and it's hard.
It is.
I totally
I think
empathize.
people don't understand how hard it is to be an artist. And I almost don't even want to say hard it is to be an artist. It's just that you happen to be an artist, even starting, I would say even being a baker, or a engineer or anything that's where you're going to work on your own. It's tough anywhere, but I would say LA, New York spits people out. And there is a difference for artists that you have to be tough to make it in LA. So,
and the support too. I mean, to throw other people into it, like, I think you have to have a really good team of people behind you, just best friends and like parents. You just have to have like a nice pile of people that you can call on. Cause here's the main thing I do. If I'm in business mode brain day, but I actually still am kind of artist, like brain mindset, I have so much trouble making decisions because artist is so open-minded. And it's like, I don't know, I guess that could work. I don't know, I guess that could work too. like it's almost like basically saying open and closed. So on the days that I'm still kind of like half open and receptive, but yet I have to be like closed-minded and make choices, I'm a total basket case. Like I call you and I'm like, Michael, give me orders. Like I just reference a handful of people and I'm like, you guys all make the decision for me because I'm like alien land. Yeah.
So if somebody was coming out from, I'm in Florida right now. So let's say somebody wants to be a star, and I'll talk to them too. But if somebody says, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm going to come out to, I want to go out to LA and I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be a musician. Someone's going to listen to my music and they're going to pick me up and I'm going to be the next star.
Right.
What are the things that you tell them? Like, let's say they call you up on the phone and say, hey, Kristin, what can I do?
Okay.
Before they even pack a bag, what do you tell them?
All right. There's a really cool interview by the Civil Wars. It's a duo, and they're kind of cool. They do like a version of Britney Spears' Toxic, and both of them just have beautiful voices. You should check them out. They're, I think, a Nashville-based band, Civil Wars. And they have an awesome interview that says they were signed by a huge label, and then I think they got dropped, and they were both devastated, like everyone is when like someone tells you you're worth something and then they rip it away from you.
Right, right.
And
That's exactly.
they had this great like empowerment kind of way to rise back up. And they said, basically, as we rebuilt our business, which by the way, they built it way better than it was when they were signed to a large label. They said, we basically asked ourselves, do we need a label for this? For every single question. So when someone calls me on the phone and says, I want to come to LA, I'll say, don't be lazy. What's your game plan?
Right.
What are the steps that you want to do? And ask yourself, with each of those steps, do you need Los Angeles to do that? And I guess that's where I could come in and let them know, like, this is what Los Angeles can kind of offer in some of those areas. You don't have to be, again, back to the beginning of what I said with like, everyone's looking for help.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if you're someone who's really looking for help here, you can get stepped on a lot because you're not necessarily clear about what you're looking for and how you can then negotiate with somebody else with what they have that you guys can then,
I totally agree with that. There is a huge foot over your head that's waiting to step on you when you go to LA.
Right.
It's almost like it's not even a conscious foot. It's a foot that's there because everyone else wants the same thing that you want. And either you're going to go get it or someone else is going to get it and push you out of the way. And I have to say, I saw that with actors so many times because there's so many guys that look just like, I need this guy for this part. And there's 100 of you in the room.
Right. Now, the cool thing is, I think, like, if you are like my age when I came here, it's kind of cool because it does, and you have a good, like, confident system around you, you have good people, and then you just go here by yourself. It's a real empowering way to, like, it's fun to be like sitting next to a famous person and then they get to talk to you. It's kind of a nice, like, 2 steps away from stardom reminder, but you always have to know that 2 steps can be 2 steps forever. You can be 80 and still be sitting next to that famous person who has gotten lucky because they offered something to somebody that they wanted at the time.
Absolutely.
And I've seen a lot of very, very sad people here that have aged and never expanded their lives much more than that lust for what everyone thinks LA can bring. So this whole like fame thing. And so if you're my age, I'm thinking about how my dynamic with Los Angeles is going to go on. I'm thinking about not residing here permanently, and I can still move around. I still am young enough to even go get a corporate job if I had to. Like, it's okay. But I think I feel for the people who have been stuck here and it doesn't really fulfill the other needs, and they're very lonely. And you just want to be conscious of what it is that this place is going to do.
I think it's what you just said about there's the 80-year-olds that are still wanting to make it, and there's the, there's 5-year-olds.
And
that
you bet your ass they still are. I know an
80-year-old
right now who's trying to push her book and trying to make like famous people do it into a play. And I'm just like, she's talking to her dog a lot. She's like, "Boo Goose, how are you today?" I'm like, "You're losing it. You're on the way out." Like, you have to put her down. I totally understand. She's a lonely person. And so I feel for people here because it's not a place that, that really allows you to have all the other beautiful things that like a small town would offer. Like, nobody really has your back, at least for me coming here without a lot of people.
I don't think people have your back there in general because no one has their back. And it's so you build, what I found while I was there is you can build a team of people and that team works for as long as that project is going. And as soon as that project's over, all your friends are looking at the next project. And it's what I found is there's not a way that you can necessarily bring your friends with you.
Absolutely.
Now
here's the best thing.
But you can't do it.
Right. So if we broke down if they were like, "No, Kristin, I really want to come to LA." And I'm like, "All right, here." I think I made a really smart move in the beginning. And you saw this too, that I was like, I've got to find a community. So I started working at an environmental nonprofit because I share the morals of environmentalism. And I was just really intrigued by this awesome nonprofit. And I part-timed there. And literally the friends that I've made there are the only friends I've had. And that was right in the beginning for like the first 20% of my LA life has been, all those people have been my friends. And those are people with like the regular jobs that are in LA. So if you have the opportunity to kind of come in here and just get out of the me first industry for a second and like find something that, you know, whether if you're religious or Buddhism or meditation, you can kind of like find a network there. Find a network that isn't disposable, like you were mentioning, that isn't like going to discard you when they don't need you when the project's over. And then really nourish those relationships, because they will be there for you. I mean, I do have people here.
That is a brilliant observation. You're right.
Thanks.
You've got friends / acquaintances in the industry, as everyone calls it, and then you've got people who actually can be your friends that are the people who go and watch the people in the industry.
Right.
That's a really, really good point for people. We're going to bold that one on the screen.
Nice. Yeah.
So
yeah,
one more thing you would tell people when they come to LA, it's like they're still on the phone. They're going, okay, yeah, so I'm going to listen to that video you told me about. I'm going to see if I can make some new friends outside of the industry when I get there. What's one more thing that you would tell them that's super important to do? Like, okay, you've gotten to LA, you found your roommate because you can't afford to live by yourself. What else would you tell them?
Like, if you have a roommate,
and they will.
And some people are different than me. You know, I'm an only child, so I'm really like, I need to be alone. But if you can, even if you're, you know, one of 4 kids or something, try to find a room where you can be by yourself, like is your space. And think of that as like your recharge space. And always be able to go back to that. And maybe, you know, it's not right next to like a really loud freeway or something, where you can just, every day you can write down what you have in mind that you want to do, because your plan is going to change. Like your dream is going to evolve, which it should. You shouldn't just like hunker down and have like this 13-year-old dream that you have to carry out, because you'll realize that some of those things you don't want, after you start like going after them, you'll be like, oh, I don't want to take my top off, or I don't want to do this. So then you're like, you'll pull back and you'll want to reevaluate. And I think when you're at a place like New York or Los Angeles, that like coming back in to your safe space and then going and reevaluating and then going back out is like one of the most helpful. You meditate. It's a little bit like the beginning parts of meditation, or just kind of like checking in with yourself and knowing if you're clear about what you want, they flock to you. It's amazing. Like, it's actually frightening how much leadership I have here, even over people who have had way bigger careers, because I'm always so clear about what I'm trying to do. And I'm not perfect, but like I try to do this recharge thing, and people are always thinking, Kristin really has her stuff together. And I'm like, not really.
Excellent. I got that illusion going. Yeah. I love that. Well, I think those are really good tips. And here's something I hadn't planned to ask you until just now, but you've written a lot of songs. You've been up in LA for a while. If you had to pick one of your songs that defines, let's say, who you are now, or that maybe talks about your LA experience, what would that be?
I don't know. I mean, I think La 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 was always a really good, that was a city song. I wrote that in a city. I didn't write it in Los Angeles though, but it really fits well here. But I try not, as much as I've been like really critical in this conversation, I try to actually not be as cynical. Like, I really do have empathy for everyone who's living here and trying to make it. So I feel like, nowadays La La Land would be a little too like, oh, I'm over here and I'm looking at you and I'm like, oh, you're in La La Land. Like, I'm also here too with these people. Like, I'm not separating myself from them. So I don't know. I mean, I probably would do, ironically, like a softer song, like Don't Comfort Me.
You opened up my doors and then came in. Didn't fall for me at first. Guess I didn't win. You say you never let me on. But at what point did you not see that your eyes told on? Well, there's
I think Don't Comfort Me is still one of my favorite songs of yours.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna link to it. We'll link to your
thanks.
YouTube so people can check you out. And Is it okay if I just close out the show with La 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 today?
Oh, totally. I have one more thing though. Probably the best thing that I ever did here, like midway through, like 5 years through my LA life, I sat down and I wrote what I specifically was going to offer, exactly where I wanted to go, my industry. So if I wanted to be a solo performing pianist and vocalist, which there are a lot out here, like way too many. What was it that I was going to bring that was different? Why was Kristin Center unique? So always be in touch with that. Like, make sure that you know why you stick out. And if you don't have anything right now and you're just like, I just want to be a singer, then you need to go and find something, because no one comes out and just plops on the screen without insane amounts of monetary backing if they don't have something different to offer. Look at Billie Eilish. That was a different thing. Adele was a different thing. All these people are like different avenues. And they didn't just show up and people were like, oh, okay, cool. We'll invest a bunch of money in something that, you know, we're not sure about. It was something that like they tested and it ran. So know your uniqueness.
Awesome. By the way, if people want to get in touch with you, maybe they have questions for you, maybe they'd like to book you, maybe they'd like to ask you questions even. What are some of the best ways for people to get in touch with you?
I'd say go to my email that I use all the time. It's K-Center. So it's just the beginning of my name, K, and then CENTER is my last name, at KristinCenter.com.
So K-Center at KristinCenter.com. I'll put that on the screen there so people can see it.
And Kristin is T-I-N, not E-N.
Correct. You're a 10, not a 10.
I'm a 10, although my favorite number is 10. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Kristin. And we will talk to you again. Hopefully in the future. You've got some awesome knowledge that I think you can share. Like,
I'd love to share it.
Your brain space with people.
Super empowering. Yeah, I want to empower people. So
excellent. Thanks. We'll talk to you again.
Bye.
That was some amazing information from Kristin Center. Love talking with her. You guys check out her music. I'm going to put descriptions in the links below this below this video. Check her out, and I'll see you next time. This is Michael Jackson.